Remove the medical officer of health and put the other three bullet
No,
points.
so that the Chief Executive be asked to ensure that all pending and future reports to community boards and the Council relating to tree removal requests contain, can you delete the minimum information as follows and just leave the colon and then take out the intro to 6.3.2, take that out. And take out up-to-date advice from the medical officer of health, because we've already said that they have to get independent advice.
And remove 6.3.1.
And then put a map showing the location of trees of allergy-causing species in the vicinity on council land and wherever possible on adjacent private land and a pollen dispersal calendar. How's that? And any other factual health-related information which may help the board make a sound evidence-based decision. Yep. I don't think, does the mover and seconder mind that going in? You're okay with that? Yep. So we'll just include that in the recommendation. So now, but that still doesn't help us with a sequence of events.
If you did user pays 100%, you don't need that.
Sorry?
Major or the sole cause will determine.
So I guess it's user pays.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the first amendment, well, I mean, we're going to have the debate, and I think we should just have a wide-ranging debate across the issue. And the first issue that we will vote on is whether we change sole cause of the applicant's condition to major cause of the applicant's condition. And the second item that we'll deal with is the cost sharing.
Who's going to pay?
Yeah. So I wonder if we should No, it's a double negative. So, well, the amendment is to make it the owner's responsibility. So we should deal with that one. And the other is that it should be, and this was my idea, was that you just vote against that 7.7 if you disagree with the, but there's an amendment to it which would take out the cost share arrangement. So we deal with that next, and then the final clause is whether it contains that 7.3 or 7 or not. Yeah, 7.7 or not. All right. So that's the order, we'll deal with it. So now I'll open it up for debate. Pauline?
Sorry, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Just in relation to the definition of major, do you know how to interpret a major cause of the health of a person?
We have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case. Thank you.
Right, so Pauline.
Well, how do you determine the sole?
Paul, it does look. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Can we just not have a debate about that? We'll
Well,
just have a debate about the issues that are before us.
I just wanted to speak to the payment options and
What? No. I've called Pauline, and if you all pay attention, you'll all get your turn.
thank you. There's two reasons. I actually moved the amendment at the Environment Committee level because of the amount of the budget increased request from staff to 130,000. And I know that's an outside amount, but that's still being requested to be put aside. Secondly, because I thought it would temper the applications as well. Because otherwise, if there's no cost at all, people are just probably going to run for it. So it makes people, think a bit more carefully about that. And the other thing too is that around the table here, we've got some people saying the applicant should bear the full cost. We've got some people saying that the council should bear the full cost and the applicant none. And bearing in mind historically, in Whenilton Waimara, you've had trees removed where the applicant has already borne that full cost. So I thought it would be a little unfair to leap now to the council funding 100% of any removals. So I think that's a fair way to go approach this in the short term, and let's see how it pans out. So I'll be supporting the cost share on this.
Good, good. Jamie?
Raf can speak to the major versus sole. For what it's worth, I'm supportive of major because I think sole is a wee bit onerous. The reason why I'm saying that I believe that the applicant should bear 100% of the costs for this is for a couple of reasons. First thing, and I apologise if this is sort of teaching you how to suck eggs, but when we say the council pays, we all need to be really, really cognisant that means every single resident in Christchurch pays. Council means residents, so they pay for it via their rates. So we're proposing that either the resident pays for these removals, or the community pays for the removal, or the community pays for half the removal when we say council. So now that we've got that sorted, the reasons why I think in this period that we should say, if it is the major or sole cause, that the applicant should pay, is one, following on from what Pauline's just said, which I think is a really fair point. We've got a whole lot of people, and this is around precedent, that have gone through this process and they have had legitimate medical concerns due to silver birch trees, and they have paid for the removal of it. I think then all of a sudden it is a dangerous precedent to send when then all of a sudden then councillors then subsidising this. The next thing that I really want to say about this is that if the council is subsidising it, there is going to be a huge influx of people having a go at this, trying to maximise that because it reduces the price that they have to pay. Okay? And as a result of this, I'm really concerned when I'm going through this report that the way you make a good decision, obviously, is from the best advice that you've got. And the best advice that we have around this is up-to-date advice from the Medical Officer of Health that's effectively saying that there are many other things out there which cause allergies more so than this particular species of trees, such as grass, and that there are a wide range of issues that actually contribute to people feeling poorly or having allergic reactions, as opposed to just simply being a silver birch tree outside there. So what I would propose is that I actually believe that there are people like the React family that have a real problem due to the silver birch tree medically, and that there is something that needs to be done about that. But when you've got the Medical Officer of Health saying there are a wide range of other issues there, we're effectively going to be reviewing this in 12 months' time. So I don't want the council to be going out, spending a huge amount of money, having a huge financial impact at the time when we can least afford it, to play a science experiment. We're playing a science experiment right now with ratepayers' money on something that the Medical Officer of Health totally contradicts. The Medical Officer of Health says that there are more allergic reactions from grass. So we're not even going down the grass path here. We're going down the silver birch one, and we're going to say that we are going to have a trial where we'll put public money into removing these trees because we're not convinced that the scientific advice that we've been given is actually true. So I have a real issue with that. I think that if there is a genuine problem with that silver birch tree, let's let them, if they really believe in their heart of hearts that there is an issue from that, let's go through and actually find out. We've heard that the React family we haven't even heard what the outcome of that has been. We haven't heard from anyone what's actually happened since these trees have been removed. So on what basis are we making an assumption that we're going to put hundreds of thousands of ratepayer dollars potentially into something that we don't even know whether it will work or not? So let's have 12 months to actually see whether it does. If it's that much of an issue for someone, just as they pay a bit more to have their gluten-free stuff, if it's that much of an issue, they can pay over this 12-month period to remove and replace it with a more appropriate species. Throughout that time, have a conversation with them. See if it has worked. See if it's alleviated the symptoms. And do you know what? If it has and they say, I feel so much better now, this has made the world of difference for me, when we review that in 12 months' time, then I have something that I can actually put my hand on my heart and say that I've spent residents' money wisely. I think if you vote for this and you put ratepayer dollars into something which is a science experiment when the evidence in this very report contradicts it, I think it's not a prudent decision. I think it's financially irresponsible when we are really limited with funds to put ratepayer money into this experiment. Spend 12 months, have a conversation with people that actually have gone through this, and in 12 months' time we can see whether or not there's merit in putting ratepayer money into this. But right now, there is no way that when we're cutting a Christmas party or Christmas decorations or anything like this, that we're going to spend goodness knows how much more than that on something which advice goes against. Happy to if there really is a problem and the feedback backs up this, but don't rush into it right now.
Raf.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I kind of echo what Jamie says around the financial stuff. I mean, I appreciate the work the committee's done. It's a very, very difficult policy to put together. And I think in terms of the costs, I mean, there are other options. I've spoken to the forestry school and the student volunteer army, and there is the potential to set up tree chopping days where you actually get a lot of this stuff done for nothing. So the forestry school gets to practice chopping trees down. The SVA comes and clears all the stuff away. So actually you can reduce costs quite a lot. Again, a community response to a community problem. I think in terms of the major aspect, the reason I put that in there is it's almost impossible outside a laboratory to say anything is the sole cause of something when it comes to human health. It's very, very difficult. But I think with the right medical approvals, I think we should be able to deal with that, and that's why I put major in. And I think the 12-month review is really important. So we have to be clear, we're just going to do this for 12 months, then we'll review it, and we need to get that anecdotal and medical evidence of people who've had the trees removed. What are the outcomes? And we need, this actually is quite a cool research project, so maybe we can bring, some student researchers in for that as well. So I think to me, this makes a lot more sense. And then in 12 months, hopefully we'll put together a longer lasting policy.
Yep. Andrew?
I'm having some real difficulty with this, it's fair to say. As a person that suffers from seasonal allergies myself and a person who has effective treatment for those allergies, I know how miserable it can be living with, running eyes and running nose and sneezing and, all of those debilitating things that come from that. But I look at paragraph 4.15 and I believe what the medical officer of health is telling us, and I base my decision on that. Jamie talks about the cost of taking the trees out if that's at council's expense. I also refer to the cost of preparing reports, the cost of community boards' time, the cost of the reporting that's been done so far, the cost of our own time here today. And I look at this and I see that based on the medical officer of health's advice, there's likely to be very little effect to invoking this policy. So regardless of who pays, the bigger question for me is the substantive issue is this policy actually going to work? Because if we've got the medical officer of health saying more people are allergic to grass pollen than tree pollen, and where there are a number of trees in a neighbourhood, the pollen spreads far and wide, it's very difficult to pin this down to one tree. I certainly won't be supporting the amendment for the major cause, but then if you go back to the sole cause, when you look at the way the resolutions are crafted versus the medical officer of health's a lot of time on something that actually doesn't work because it's unworkable. So for that reason, I'm going to vote against all of this today. I think what we're doing is spending a lot of time and energy and money on something that isn't actually going to have the effect for the people that are affected.
David?
Thank you. Look, I have problems with the word major, and I think that it leaves ourselves open to quite some debate as to what is major, what's minor, and what level we'll actually settle on as being an appropriate action to move this policy forward. If anything, I'd probably support something like predominant, but I'm comfortable with the way it is. I'm also sort of conscious that, in the city we have a number of what I would call vexatious reasons for removing trees, and I think that the policy that we've got here probably gives those sort of people reason to think twice about whether they would pursue the option, and it still leaves those that have a genuine medical disposition to follow it through. So I won't support the major, and I think I'm probably more inclined to go halfway when it comes to any cost sharing.
Phil? Yanni.
Look, I think that the advice from the Minister, the Medical Officer for Health, that kind of is sealed within the staff recommendations. And I think to go astray and widen the criteria from sole to major just potentially does open some floodgates. However, I think the term sole makes it really clear that there would be one cause and that would be the reason you would cut down the trees. And clearly they would have to be for genuine cases with that single cause. I'm certainly, as I've indicated, not going to support residents having to pay half of that. I think for a genuine case, where there are genuine cases, and there are, that this council needs to be clear about establishing principles where in effect we have one rule for rich people and another rule for poor people. So I'll be voting against that part.
Tim and Glenn.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Yanni was in that mix too. So Tim, Yanni, Glenn.
As there's not an immunologist amongst us, firstly, if we change the wording from sole to major, it'd be a real shame to chop down a tree and find out that it was perhaps not the major cause, or if it was the major cause, it's not the sole cause, and although it may have reduced the issue to that family, that individual is still there. So I'm not going to support that change. With regards to the cost of the removal and replacement of a tree, I support originally, and I still do, the 50-50, but perhaps in the future, once this is reviewed in 12 months, we could look at a possibility of means testing. But I do think that individuals who are affected by pollen or trees do have to take some responsibility with regards to the cost of removing it, because as Jamie said, that is the ratepayers' money. Every ratepayer in Christchurch will be bearing this cost, so we have to have some form of responsibility. So I will be supporting the 50-50 at this stage. Thank you.
Glenn? Oh, sorry, Yanni. I'll call Yanni first.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's unfortunate to get into a debate about rich and poor. Actually, this is about people's health, and I actually want to live in a city where we can give people the opportunity, regardless of which neighbourhood they live in, to be as healthy as possible, because actually it saves us money. It saves us money as a society, maybe not directly to council, but probably to the health system. So, I support us taking this approach in terms of looking at how we can actually remove these silver birches if it can be proven that it is a major cause to the issues that people are facing. And I think, you have to have some reliance on the medical practitioners to actually be providing robust information to justify that. So I agree with the comment that's made. To say it's a sole cause is just, I think, a test that is far too high and will be very, very almost impossible to meet. So I support trying to make steps to make our city more healthy for everyone. I support changing the word from sole to major, and I have confidence that the medical establishment will actually, they're the ones that will have to make the judgments around that, and I think it's important to rely on what they come up with. I won't support making the applicant pay entirely for it. I do think that we should have a system in place by which that cost is either shared or actually taken on by council, given that we're the ones that put the trees in the first place. And if it's proven that they're causing a health issue, then I can't see why we should be absolved of responsibility for removing them. So I would support us actually incurring that cost, and totally support doing the review in 12 months' time. So thank you.
So I've got Glenn and then Paul.
Thank you. My view on this is that I consider it quite reasonable, actually, if the trees are on council land, that the council would pay. I do take Jamie's point, of course, that tracks all the way up. We're all ratepayers. But for me here, I think the issue is about the efficacy of it. If you want to actually stop the floodgates opening, then you do make the first part of this pretty tough. So you set a high bar. So you make it the sole cause. We're not the experts. We leave it to the experts, the medical experts, to actually determine that that is the sole cause. They make that call. It may vary from case to case. So I'm actually, I won't support the second part. I think it's on council land, council pays, and number 1, we stick with the sole cause.
So, Paul?
Madam Chair, I wanted to call a point of order. It's just, I didn't want to do it in the middle of the speeches because it was a bit disruptive, so I thought I'd wait to the end. But a point of order of what I was proposing with the full cost, I think, has been misunderstood. I'm not disagreeing with anything anyone said, and I actually am agreeing. I am agreeing. No, the point of order is that people have got it wrong. They're debating something I haven't proposed.
That's a debating matter. It isn't a point of order. Sorry.
Well, the point of order is that we review it within 12 months. I've been around point of orders a little bit longer than you have, Jamie, so...
Right. And I always know when somebody's trying for a second crack, so... Paul?
Look,
it's worth a shot.
Canterbury actually suffers, and it's one of the worst cities for actually pollen, because of the winds, because of the valley-style geographical sort of nature of our city. So I do not want to see us actually open the floodgates to actually mass removal of trees, because I know that silver birches have some issues around health, but they also have issues around people's property because of all the stuff they drop. They drop stuff every 2 or 3 months. I've had a silver birch tree, and they are a bit of an issue for people's maintenance around their home. So some people will actually use that to actually to remove these trees, and I do not want to see a mass removal at ratepayer cost. So I want to make it as hard as possible. So I will be supporting the applicant pay full cost. If that fails, I'll be going for the 50-50. I do not want to see us actually change the policy. We've had precedent set already where the applicants are paid for the removal, and I think Yarni's right. It's not about rich and poor. It's about doing the right thing for our ratepayers, because at the end of the day, the ratepayers do pay. And some of those people actually do struggle to pay their rate. So we've just got to keep that in mind as well.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm supposed half-half, because while I was told all those kind of silver birch tree was planted back to the 1989, which means that before the city council combined together quite a few all those trees in the different kind of the area. And also this tree, based on the kind of the report, actually easy to cause the people kind of energy or asthma, etc. So if we go with the applicant to pay the 100%, I think probably is unfair, for them. But if 100% paid by council, still unfair. So half and half, I think that's reasonable. And especially if we review the staff recommendation 7.2, actually this kind of series theories hold, because while we have a kind of GP, we have immunologist as well as the chief medical officer of health. They have kind of give the comprehensive scientific, qualified report whether this applicant is qualified or not qualified. So this is a series hold quite seriously. So, and also this trial for within the 12 months only. It's not for a long time. So regarding to amendment, I'm not support amendment. I prefer to back to the original recommendation. Thank you.
I think that's everyone. I just want to make a couple of points. The first is that this isn't a policy to resolve the issue forever. This is designed to give a mechanism whereby community boards can make good quality evidence-based decisions as best the evidence can provide at the moment. That's actually why I support Raf's amendment to change the word to major rather than sole. I think sole's too tight. But that's also why I support the 50-50. I think there are other ways that we can resolve people that can't afford who meet that criteria. And the reason that I think that we need a proper review of the whole policy. So this is an interim policy. Why it's so important that we do this review in 12 months' time, is that there is evidence around the links between particularly the silver birch and its related trees in relation to the impact that it has on people, and that is why the council no longer plants them. So we've actually taken our own advice in that regard. And we have to think about the trees that we currently own, and I think there's over 4,000 according to this paper, about where they are and what impact that they're having. Now, if you make it the sole cause, then as has been identified again in exactly the same literature, ryegrasses are a major contributor. And given the distance at which this pollen can fly, it makes it extremely difficult for people to be able to prove the sole cause. So it might in fact not be assisting the community board in exercising its judgment in an interim period based on the evidence that's available in each individual case. So that's it's been a really interesting debate, and I like the fact that we all take these matters very seriously, and I think everyone's made some really good points. So on that basis, I'm going to run through each of the amendments. The first amendment has been moved by Councillor Manji, seconded by myself, and that is that the word sole is replaced with the word major. And I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. Right, so we'll have a recorded vote, if we can pop that up. Oh, that was good. I think that's the first time.
Because I think Councillor Lonsdale and I were a bit I was confused. I think I voted the right way, but we voted the same way, but we had a different view. So I don't quite understand how that happened.
Okay, well look, can we clear the screen? We'll conduct the vote again.
The resolution.
So for people, this is for the amendment that changes the word sole to the word major.
Right.
So whether or not the tree is the major cause or the sole cause. So if you think it should be the sole cause, then you vote no. If you think it should be the major cause, you vote yes. All right? Is everyone crystal clear? Yanni, are you clear? If you want it to be the major cause of the applicant's condition, then you vote yes. And if you want it to be the sole cause, you vote no.
That's right.
Then it is correct.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay, well, let's have a look at what, because a motion that is equal retains the status quo, so it leaves it as the sole cause. So if you could vote yes or no. This is the same one. We're doing it again just to be clear. Right. So it remains the sole cause. It doesn't. It's declared lost. So. Right, so the second vote is an amendment moved by by Councillor Goff, seconded Councillor Manji, that we replace the word council basically with the word applicant, and that way it's the applicant's responsibility to pay for the cost of removing and replacing the trees, and it is not shared or the council's responsibility.
But that's up to 12 months.
Yeah, that's right, and it's reviewed in 12 months' time. Yeah.
So if
we're all agreed to the 12 months.
So if we found it was a problem, council could share it.
It's a good try. It's a good try. I will put that amendment. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. I declare it lost. Does anyone want to have their vote recorded in favour? You want to put it to a division? Okay, but they want to plug the machine. Switch it back on. There you go. You got one more. So I declare that lost. The next amendment is to replace the wording that has all of the cost share arrangements with it. But it still has the 12 months review. So it's the opposite of the last one. The last one was...
Yeah, it says it's a foreshadowed amendment. So if it's foreshadowed, would it not be the substantive committee recommendation, which is the 50-50? And if that is lost, then it goes to the foreshadowed motion, which is the
Well, no,
council
then
bears
I'd have
order.
to put 7.7 separately, which is what I suggested in the first place.
I thought that you suggested something quite sensible.
Thanks for the advice now.
I was saying it then. You were busy gossiping.
Okay, okay, so it's now a current amendment, it's no longer foreshadowed. It is... No, you can't move it because you moved the main thing. So we need a mover and a seconder for the motion. Glenn Livingston, Ellie Jones. So I will put that amendment. All those in favour say aye. It's exact opposite. Who wants to second it? Yanni Johansson. Right. So I'll put that motion. All those that amendment. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. That's lost. Shall we have a division? A division? It's called for. Well, hang on, we've got we've called for a division. Yes, they did. Yeah. Who hasn't voted? Everyone's voted. Who? Oh, Councillor East. Right, that is lost. And now I will put the substantive recommendation, the substantive vote, and I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. That's carried. And do you want your opposition recorded? And record Andrew Turner voting against. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you. You obviously put a lot of work into that. How are we going for time? I don't know. What's the next? I'm just trying to work out whether it's best to break for lunch now and come back at 2 o'clock, or whether it's best to... Well, or...
No, we're still wanting to...
Yeah. So, look, I'll adjourn now, but what we may, in fact, come back and deal with one of the public excluded items first. And so we may be starting the main meeting a little bit later, but I'm just wondering how I can... I mean, I'd have to go into public excluded now.
That's right.
And then if we don't use that option, then we can come out of public excluded when we come back. All right, so I'll move that we go into public excluded for the purposes of item